Hey everyone, Brian Zane here to give you my thoughts on this past weekend's big Summerslam event, which took place in Detroit, Michigan this past Saturday. The show was a huge success by WWE standards, not just the attendance there, over 59,000 people at Ford Field, but also WWE says it was the most watched Summerslam of all time, which is great news for them, but was the show any good? Let's find out, beginning with the opening contest as Logan Paul took on Ricochet. The action begins with some quick work to start things off. Logan gets Ricochet on the apron and hits a neckbreaker with the ropes as a lever. Logan talking smack to ring announcer Samantha Irvin, who is the fiancée of Ricochet. Paul with the body shots on his opponent. The fans do not like Logan here in this matchup. Logan hits a running power slam as a shot at Braun Strowman. That'll be a fun match in the future. We even get some Hogan Paul, but Ricochet comes back, hits a nice moonsault, big back body drop by Paul, and one thing's for sure, he definitely knows where the hard cam is. Paul goes for the Spanish fly off the apron, but they land on their feet, kinda. Ricochet hits one of his own. Logan with a big flipping clothesline to the outside, grabs a bottle of Prime from a fan, takes a swig, and dumps the rest onto Ricochet. Both men are on the top rope. We get a hurricane neckbreaker by Ricochet. By the way, Shane Helms was the producer for this matchup, if you're wondering. Beautiful move here. A moonsault attempt is caught, but countered into a DDT. Rico goes to the shooting star press. Logan with the knees up, a kick out. Paul with the alley-oop and a springboard frog splash. Ricochet comes back with a flurry of flips. We get a kick out. Chet goes to the 630 but misses. Suddenly one of Logan Paul's buddies slips him some brass knuckles. The referee has to pretend like he's the one being hit so he can't see Logan hit Ricochet with the knucks, the cover, and the win. I give it 3.5 stars out of 5. You know, Michael Cole himself said it after the match was over. That was a great matchup, but the ending sucked. In general, I hate seeing referees do that where they have to go, "What's that over there?" because they know they're about to see some cheating and they know they're not supposed to. So they just like every fiber of their being just tears them away from the attention. And it's always so funny to watch and takes me out of it a little bit here. But besides that, I think the match was exactly what I expected it to be. It was enjoyable. It was a fun, frenetic, flippy action. If there's one man who can match the style of Logan Paul in the ring, it's Ricochet, and kind of vice versa. I think they complemented each other very well in this one, and Ricochet was a good dance partner for the far less experienced Logan Paul. This was a very good match for both of them, and like I said earlier in my predictions, it was good for Logan to get this win considering he's lost all his other matches. Up next, Cody Rhodes takes on Brock Lesnar. It's the third match in the trilogy, and it's billed as one of the 4 main events on this show. Come on, you cannot call it a main event match when it's the second one on the card. WCW did that with the Kiss Demon, and we didn't feel good about that either. Lesnar begins with a suplex, Cody with a couple of disaster kicks, but he's swatted down on the third attempt. Lesnar just picks Cody up and throws him behind his back. Good lord. Even more suplexes as Lesnar's shorts are just turning into tatters at this point. Brock screaming at Cody to stay down on the outside and to save himself, but the roller coaster keeps getting back in. Finally, Brock has had enough, hits the F5 on the danged floor, through the announce table. Cody barely gets back in the ring before 10. Lesnar is looking dumbfounded by all this. And there's more fighting. The top turnbuckle pad is thrown off once again. Cody grabbing some steel steps, but Lesnar just denies him. Cody shoves Lesnar into the ring post, hits him with the steps, which is legal, I guess. Cody with multiple cutters, one from the top, but there's still a kick out. Crossroads countered into the Kimura lock, a rope break. F5 attempt, Cody shoving Lesnar into the exposed turnbuckle, gets his own Kimura locked in. Lesnar looking dire, but he fights out of it. Another F5 attempt, Cody counters into the 3 Crossroads to cover and win. After the bell, they are both up, and Lesnar shakes his hand. Sportsmanship. I give it 4.5 stars out of 5. I really liked this match. I loved the drama. I loved the story in that one. You know, Brock Lesnar proving why I think he's Mr. SummerSlam. And if you want to hear more about that, you can watch this video right here. But I think he really proved his mettle and that namesake in this one here. When Brock wants to and put his working boots on, I mean, he can have some of the best matches on any given night. And especially with such a good storyteller as Cody is, such an emotional storyteller as he is. I mean, this matchup really, I think, made up for the fact that there was no build to this storyline. You know, we were complaining for the last few months, why is this even happening? But they're making up for it with just a really, really good match to close things out here. And they're clearly building something big with Cody after this win. Time for the Slim Jim SummerSlam Battle Royal. LA Knight is supposedly the last person to enter, and he gets a huge ovation when he makes his way to the ring, only to be outdone by MVP and a returning Omos. He's the real final participant. Good lord, the height J.D. McDonough gets from him early on. He's eliminating folks left and right. The brawling brutes try to beat him down, but he's just too strong. Chad Gable with a burst of offense after Otis is eliminated. Ciampa takes out both Viking Raiders, but he gets dumped out by Bronson Reed. Santos Escobar eliminates Austin Theory, but then Karrion Kross takes out Escobar. Gable with the coolest elimination of the match on Ludwig Kaiser. Everyone left works together to take out Omos. The final four are Knight, Reed, Sheamus, and AJ Styles. Knight with a very slow apron DDT to eliminate Reed. Guys, I'm kidding when I call it that. Kross returns to the ring and helps AJ get kicked out by Sheamus. We're down to Sheamus and Knight. Lots of back and forth here, but it ends with LA eliminating Sheamus to win. 3 stars out of 5 for me on this one. This was a fun battle royal. There were just a lot of bodies kind of taking up space initially in this one, but I think there were a lot of cool moments, a lot of opportunities for a lot of different people to shine in particular. And, I think the right person won. I think it was kind of a make good for the fact that, people felt that he was denied Money in the Bank and everything. And so this was a match that people really wanted to see LA Knight win. So you had this big pop and everything. It was just a really cool moment to see that. Now, what he'll get from this and where his story will continue after SummerSlam, who knows? But there was a lot of fun in this matchup for sure, and it's followed up with a very fun Slim Jim spot now featuring LA Knight and Bianca Belair with some nods to the old Macho Man commercials as well. Boy, it sure would have been embarrassing if LA had lost the match that was sponsored by the company he had just done a commercial for. An MMA Rules match up next as Ronda Rousey takes on her former best friend Shayna Baszler. This was a match I was looking forward to above many others on this show, strictly because of how they built this thing and the promo packages they ran for this rivalry going into it. I thought were just really some of the best stuff they'd done, especially the fact they were able to connect so much of the real life past as well in this one, some real depth to this storyline. So imagine my disappointment when what happens. So it's knockout or submission rules to win, no rope breaks. It's basically a fight pit match without the fight pit, which is kind of sad. They spar for a couple of minutes and break away. The crowd is not digging this as they realize, oh, this is really kind of an MMA style. I heard at least one guy try and start a boring chant. Shayna with a big kick to Ronda in the head, but Rousey comes back with a big old knee to the snoot. Baszler appears to hurt her arm on the way out of the ring. Officials and trainers come to check on her. Rousey tells them to go pound sand. We go to the final act. They're trading submissions and fighting back and forth to a "this is boring" chant. The Kirifuda clutch is applied. Ronda passes out. Shayna wins by technical submission. I'll give it 1 star out of 5. You know what? The right person absolutely won. Shayna absolutely should have won, and I'm glad she did. I just wish that they had a regular wrestling match over this, I think that the style they were trying to portray here, even though that's their wheelhouse, they came from MMA, so it makes sense on that front. It's just it doesn't jive well with when you've seen pro wrestling and WWE style combat. You go to something that more closely resembles UFC, and you go back to WWE. Those are 2 very different styles of fighting. And I mean, storytelling you can get in an MMA fight, but not the way you can produce it in a scripted wrestling match. I mean, God, Vincent Mann and Triple H love booking best friend breakup melodrama shit in the middle of a matchup. So the fact that they didn't do that, probably because you had the Bloodline story in the main event and you have some of that there. I mean, that kind of blew my mind because this style of fight didn't really lend itself to telling stories as much. There were spots in there, but it just didn't feel like it was the same kind of match. It wasn't, and the fans really did not appreciate it. I think that if you're gonna have Shayna beating Ronda, have her, beat her in an actual wrestling match, because at least I think, Ronda, you can say what you want about her. She's been pretty hot and cold, but I think Shayna Baszler, especially from where she started at NXT to where she is now, she's a great wrestler.
In Cologne, Germany, enjoyed the matchup, the official SummerSlam watch party.
They announced the attendance on the show. Then it's time for the Intercontinental Championship match as Gunther defends against Drew McIntyre. Spoiler alert, they hit hard. Drew is slammed back first on the steel steps. Gunther taking Drew down with a single chop at one point. These guys just start trading clotheslines for about a minute until they're both wiped out. Drew fires up, whiffs on the Claymore. Gunther kicks out of the Future Shock DDT. Drew with a plancha to the outside. Gunther with a great scream as he comes down with a splash later. Yeah! They're trading chops. We get a Claymore and a kick out. Both men are on the top rope now. Drew gets big time crotched on the top, which allows Gunther to unload a shit ton of big moves on him to win and retain. I give it 4 stars out of 5. This was continuing the positive trend of great Gunther matches here. He and Drew get along great and have great chemistry. It's funny because after we just saw that previous match, the MMA Rules, where, assumedly the punches are supposed to hit really hard, all those punches they're hitting and everything, the fans weren't making a peep for any of that, but like all the impact you get in this very worked environment in a WWE style match, the fans absolutely were digging it. And so I think that tells you there, even though there is that overlap in like fandom between MMA and WWE, I don't think that's what the WWE fans went to see that last matchup. They came to see stuff like Gunther and Drew. World Heavyweight Championship match as Seth Rollins defends against the Judgment Day's Finn Balor. Oh man, poor guys couldn't get inside the building this time. Finn comes out with some paint on his pec where his shoulder surgery was, with the word 7 across it for the number of years he's been waiting. Ooh, that's good. Finn jumps Seth before the opening bell. They scrap before the match officially begins. Balor working the arm extensively early on here. Seth comes back, hits as many dives. Finn's mouth is busted a bit. Finn with the buckle bomb on the barricade on Seth. Poetic from SummerSlam 7 years ago. Seth kicks out, hits a pair of buckle bombs of his own. We get the frog splash and a kick out. Balor goes for the coup de grace a couple of times, but he can't pull it off. Kicks out of the pedigree. Then out comes Senor Money in the Bank, Damian Priest. He cheap shots Rollins and Finn almost has it won. We get a kick out. Out comes Rhea Ripley and Dirty Dom of the Judgment Day. Priest wants to give Finn the briefcase, but Finn wants no part of it initially. Finn takes the stomp and somehow kicks out. Seth hits Dom with a stomp on the outside, then takes the coup de grace from Finn and a kick out. Finn now changing his mind, telling Damian to put the briefcase in the ring. Damian kind of pouts about it, but he does. It distracts the ref. Finn goes to the case, but is stomped on it face first. Seth wins and retains. I give it 4 stars out of 5. Another really strong match on this show. Even if I'm not the biggest fan of the Judgment Day breakup storyline they're running right now, I can at least admit they're executing it well. I think that was told really well in this matchup here. Great athleticism from both guys. The callbacks they had to their previous encounter 7 years ago, I think was really well done. And I suppose that the buckle bomb ban was temporarily lifted for this match. It's the Alpha Academy with Maxine Dupree in a sponsored skit. I'm a Mike, he's a Mike, she's a Mike, 'cause we're all Mikes. Hey, in comes The Miz, an actual Mike. He and Chad yell over each other until The Miz is put in the box. Triple threat for the Women's Championship as Asuka defends against Charlotte Flair and Bianca Belair, who is sponsored by C4 Energy. Still better than Beyblades. We start the match off with a variety of one-on-one sequences. Charlotte with a big dive off the top rope on the other two. Finally gets a rise out of this crowd for the first time all match. Charlotte stops to have the ref fix a part of her outfit before she continues her offense. Hits a double natural selection and a kick out. I saw that lower third for the title, and at first I thought there was some random mess spilt in the ring. Charlotte goes to the figure 4, takes a code breaker, Bianca dropping both women at once. Charlotte with a top rope moonsault to the outside, totally missing her target. Asuka kicks her, goes for a DDT from the top, doesn't quite get all that either, and they show the replay still. Bianca with a powerbomb falls right into an Asuka lock, but then Charlotte tries to cover them both. Charlotte hits a moonsault on both women at the same time, and God almighty, is Asuka still able to breathe after all that? Bianca takes a fall to the outside, seems to land badly, starts to be tended to by the officials and crew as the match continues, starts to be carried off, but she breaks away and runs back into the ring as Charlotte has the figure 8 locked in, hits a 450 with her very bad leg somehow, and we get a kick out. Charlotte with a figure 8 to Bianca. Asuka climbs in and blues Charlotte, goes to kick Bianca, but she ducks and rolls up Asuka to win. We get a new WWE Women's Champion, but here comes Io. She and Bayley lay out everyone with the briefcase. We get the Money in the Bank cash in, the moonsault. Io is the new champion. From World of Stardom to the top of the world, ace call by Michael Cole there. Dakota Kai, who's been injured for a while, she appears to congratulate Io as well. What a cool moment for Io Sky winning the championship. She's truly one of the best in the game right now, so for her to get that big win is a big validation. I mean, I think that the trope of the cash-ins, especially for the women's Money in the Bank, they talk about how that's a 100% success rate. At some point, someone's going to have to whiff on that and lose the cash-in, just to keep things interesting, I would say. but still really cool for EO. That being said, I would call the advertised match, I would give that 3 stars out of 5. You know, they did their best to make Bianca look really gutsy in that injury, although the fact that she was in the figure 8 for as long as she was, with that supposedly devastated knee to the point where they had to carry out of the ring and did the 450, that didn't really jive with me. Also, Charlotte, please stop doing moves to 2 people at once, because there was a lot of times where it did not look good. But there were some great moments in this matchup throughout, though, besides that. Let's hope EO has more luck with that title than anyone has been with the women's tag titles on the main brand. You know, I hate to say it, but I think it's wise to retire those belts, because at this point, after hearing that Sonya Deville got hurt in a title defense, she tore her MCL, just burn the belts at this point, because they're not serving anyone. Main event time. It's tribal combat, basically meaning it's a hardcore match, as Roman Reigns defends the undisputed WWE Universal Championship against Jey Uso. The match starts off with Roman starting out strong. Jey comes back, hits a dive. He's the first to bring something out from under the ring. Roman's got a kendo stick, just beats the hell out of Jey with it. Lots of mean mugging, goes for a spear. Jey beats him up with the kendo stick now. Big ol' dive to the outside. Jey hits the Uso splash. We get a kick out. Jey grabbing a chair and whopping Roman a couple of times, much to the chagrin of a weeping Paul Heyman. Jey brings out a stack of chairs now. Big mess of chairs in the ring. Roman powerbombing Jey onto them. Table set up in the ring now. A table on the outside. Jey is in peril on the apron, but he ends up hitting a Samoan drop off it and through the table. Leather straps brought in now. Jey pursuing Roman through the crowd until Solo Sikoa shows up. Hang on, I thought they said on SmackDown that there would be no one interfering in this matchup, and it was not allowed. So back in the ring, looking to do more damage to Jey, but Roman accidentally spears Solo instead. Jey with a kick and a cover, but not enough. Jey hits both Solo and Roman with the chair. On the outside, Solo gets in Roman's face about the spear from earlier, setting Roman up for the OMG moment in the barricade. Jey splashing Solo through the announce table. We get a spear and a splash by Jey. The cover, you think he's won, but he's pulled out of the ring by Jimmy Uso. After the initial shock, there's a "fuck you Jimmy" chant as Jimmy hits the super kick. Roman spears Jey through that last table, wins, and retains the championship. I give it 3 stars out of 5. Like, come on. I know that seeds had been planted in the last couple of weeks for that twist to happen at the end, but how many more betrayals can we as fans witness, and how much can the storyline sustain with all these big dramatic, oh my God, there was a betrayal there and a split up there. You know, Paul Heyman said in the presser after the show that they are at the bottom of the 3rd inning when it comes to this whole story arc. I would hope that they're going to end it in the 5th inning on a mercy rule, because the score's been run up too much. Because at what point are you going to end this? If it's not Sammy, it's not Cody, it's not Jey, like, who is it? When is it? You know, I don't think that it's necessarily a bad thing the Usos are breaking up, because Lord knows they've done everything there is to do. Nothing much left to accomplish as a tag team. And Jey has more than proven himself capable of singles stuff, so I'm interested in a solo Jey Uso run, but I kind of wish that there was more amicable way for them to split up teams, because they show they can do that, you know? And so, I don't know, I just think at this point now, with all these betrayals, how many more can we expect? How much more bloodline melodrama can we watch in this? It's getting to the point where I think fans are going to lose interest, because even if maybe people didn't expect Jey to win, you would hope there would be something less bullshit about the way the match ended there on Saturday. That being said, I give SummerSlam 23 a B+. A really strong showing this year. You know, most of the matches were good. Unfortunately, the 2 matches that disappointed me the most were the women's matches, especially Ronda and Shayna. Again, considering the storyline that had been built in that, they were put in this position in this kind of match format that doesn't really lend itself to good emotive storytelling, sadly. And, you know, I think that EO winning the championship was a good make good for those 2 matches. Like I said, I am feeling a bit of bloodline fatigue, but it doesn't take away too much from an otherwise really strong show. I think the undercard really delivered. Those other advertised main events did a really good job. So yeah, SummerSlam this year was definitely one to watch. But again, it would have been nice if Becky and Trish got on this show as well. But what did you think of SummerSlam this weekend, folks? Where do you think Roman Reigns goes from here? What do you think is going to happen with Jimmy after the inevitable Jimmy and Jey blow blow-off match? I want to hear about it all in the comment section below. Be sure to give the video a thumbs up if you like it, subscribe to Wrestling with Regret, hit that bell icon to get all the notifications. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.